Well, I hope all of you have visited my previous class video. But then also, I'll just go from the slide, which is very important to go further. So, we are seeing a very important topic, particularly do you all engineers or non-biological engineers or biology, biotech people. For everyone, this particular topic is very interesting as well as it's very important also. For example, yeah, in the previous that video, I had also showed about the Google car, self-driving Google cars. So if they want to drive by itself, which already it is there in some parts of US and Europe and all, the car will sense the exogenously whether any obstacle is there, and accordingly it will move right or left or straight. Okay, and something from this, the bio inspiration was taken from the humans, from the animals particularly. Okay, so over here, something we have to understand is this particular thing. Like for any action voluntarily that we are doing, like in the previous class, we also discussed about the muscles, contraction and relaxation of the muscles that actually propels the individual to either run or jog or walk or hold something from the hand or do any kind of action, even chewing, even breathing, even seeing here and there, everything, your muscles are very important. Okay, so how will the muscles actually be told that it has to contract or relax? It is by the sensory systems. So in the previous video, you might have seen the eye. In eye, essentially, we saw the cones and the rods. Cones, uh, it can take colors, whereas the rods can take only the black and white. So it all depends on the number of cones and rods. So only like you might have seen even the video uh, where different animals how they see also, we had discussed in the previous video. For example, you may look something green, the grass is green, but the cow may not look it as a green color. It will be of gray or something for the cow. Okay, so essentially it is the sensory input. Sensory input here, the example is the eye, but we have five sensors, and that will be integrated. So neurons will take that message which you see over here. Later today we'll discuss about different gustation and olfaction also, where you will look at the taste as well as the smell. So if that is the sensory input, they will be taken and integrated inside the brain, and they will give rise to some action. Say, for example, the olfaction or gustation, which we'll discuss in the forthcoming slides. In that, if the brain you feel, say you're eating some pizza, and the smell itself is so superb that you feel like eating it. Okay, and even it tastes very nicely. Or say, for example, the idli vada or some masala dosa, very fresh ghee masala dosa. very nice smell and taste is there. So that makes you chew more and more till your tummy is filled. Okay. So essentially, from the sensory, there will be integration and there will be output. That is, your muscles will be contracting or relaxing. The same thing happens in the new innovations, technological innovations, like the example which I gave of the self-driving car. It will sense that there is an obstacle or not there, the obstacle is not present, and that will be integrated in the system circuit, and it will propel the particular car to go either left or right or straight or whichever direction, okay, accordingly which we have set in the GPS. So that's very important. For example, most of the robotics, uh, they take the inspiration from this. Same like self-driving car, all the robots. Now, for example, in the previous video, I give the example of robots for coronavirus patients in the hospitals, where the robot will go by itself and give the medicines or the food. Everything will be given to patients by the robots instead of some personnel. That kind of robots were also, for example, I told even Shastra, it was given to some hospitals. Okay, here a startup in Shastra, uh, they also manufactured more of these kind of robots and give it. Essentially, it is taking the input and giving the output and integration. So what happens in this particular thing? We saw that rods and cones are very important. Before that, this also very important. I'll not go in detail because these things have been explained already. So it is like what the brain is essentially doing is it is perceiving. Okay, we don't know what in reality what exists, but we see a leaf of this pattern of this color because we have been gifted with the cones. Okay, it can take the BGR and it can emit, the leaf will emit in this particular nanometer, that will be taken with the photoreceptor, and thus it seen as a green color. So you perceive it as a green. Actually, what it is in reality, we don't know. Reality, we it's very difficult to know what is the reality outside. Say some birds may have more color cones, they will see a leaf more colorfully, leaf and nature more colorfully than us. Whereas a cow may not see more colorfully like us. So it all depends on different species, what they are seeing. For example, even the pit viper, it will not be able to see. It will see only the black and white outside, but it can sense from the IR radiation, and it can make thermal images. Like now, what for coronavirus they test in campuses and all. When you enter, even in some shops, when they test, they take the IR radiation they give and they will test whether you have the fever or no. Similarly, pit viper also, they will have the pits where they will release the IR radiation, infrared, and from the IR they will be able to perceive the heat, thermal. Okay. Similarly, we are also perceiving something. So it all matters. We are calling this as green, but this is perception actually, which we are given the name for this as a color. Okay. Same thing. One more very important thing was this experiment where if you want to know that you are a self, say in nature, you see some other objects or some other individual, but how do you perceive? Your hand is yours, your legs belongs to you, your face is yours when you see in the mirror. This perception, that is how the brain works. So whatever it sees or from the sensory information, the brain perception will be created, and it will know whether this belongs to me or no. That kind of development will be there. For example, this video we had seen yesterday, you can see a rubber hand over here. The scientist has kept, but in a few seconds, you can see like a brain. Why he got shocked is because he perceived, and the brain perceived that this hand might belong to him, because one hand was here, one hand was here. So slowly, the brain can be fooled like this also. That is the uh, uniqueness of the brain, where it perceives everything as this. Okay, like leaf is green color, or this hand belongs to me, or anything. Okay, so the perception is something very, very important. So in reality, we don't know what exists. Okay, but this is our whatever we are seeing around, uh, whatever day-to-day activities we are performing. When we are awake, the brain which is awake, and that awakened brain, not when we are in sleep and when we are in dream state, we see different things. In dream, we may see everything as something which in reality doesn't exist. Okay, so in the awakened state, your brain perceives the environment. Okay, and something nearer, it will perceive it as yours. For example, if you all are interested, I recommend you to read some books like Phantoms in the Brain by Ramachandran. A very nice book, where he had also seen like a person who by accident had lost one hand. For him, he kept a mirror, and with the mirror, his hand, one hand used to clap, but in the mirror you can see one more hand also coming, mirror of this hand. So slowly the brain perceives that there are both the hands, though one hand is missing, both the hands clapping. And it was a very short period. The person who lost his hand could be happy, because he felt both the hands were there. So brain can be, it will make perception like that. Okay, that is the quality of the brain. Okay, that is the feature of the brain by which it makes perception. So we had seen, for the perception making, are different areas of the brain. There are different senses which will like the olfactory or gustatory or the tactile, auditory, or vision. They'll all be giving the signals at different parts of the brain, and the signals, just sorry, and the signals can be of different things in different areas. For example, in the eye, you saw that is giving the signal of the radiation at different wavelengths, but the wavelength from that sensory, it is again going as an action potential. Brain cannot see the radiation, but brain is sensing. So the activity, vision, whatever the photon activity has been taken over here, that is converted into action potential, electrical activity, and that electrical activity is taken over here as a sensor, okay, as a sense by which perception is made, and thus you see things as a different colors or different shapes or anything. Okay, same is over here also. Different electrical activity will be induced, but from here, for example, tactile could be a mechanical. From there, electrical it will be converted, and more I'll be telling in the future slides. Okay, I'll leave it because already we have studied. Now I'll see go to gustation. This is also one of the sensory thing. It's very important for us because uh, can anyone over here tell me why the gustation sensor is important? If there is no taste, if there is no gustation, what could happen for an individual? Who can tell me? Let's make it interactive. So say there is no taste, what could happen? Yeah, please.
So taste
Yeah,
helps us identify whether a particular food is good or bad. So if we don't have the taste, we might not be able to identify that.
exactly. So taste will say whether something is good or bad. Can you give an example?
So we'll be able to identify whether a food has gone stale or not based on the taste. So if we are not able
Exactly,
to taste it, we might end up eating stale food, which is not good for us.
exactly. So it's very essential that to differentiate if some food is good or bad for the individual. If that particular discriminating discriminatory thing is not there, then we'll not be able to discriminate what is good, what is bad. There could be, but there also it is perception. For example, some old foods, like say pickle as it is of more age, it would be of more taste. So how do you say whether what is good or bad? Because pickle is not something which is fresh. More the age, more the taste it is having. So what is stale then? Yeah, Saraswati, what do you think?
So with respect to foods like pickle, I don't think age will be the cause of it going stale, but
Hmm.
maybe contact with
Yeah,
air and
so contamination by
contamination by other
exactly.
organisms.
So the foods, whatever we eat, whether because there is also cultural tendency. Some countries and all they have a different kinds of foods in their this thing. So it is also a little bit cultural upbringing, as well as innately, intrinsically, we may have something to distinguish a characteristic. So taste is very important, a kind of sensor. Okay, so engineering robot, if you keep a robot which has been engineered, and that robot should know what is good, what is bad for the robot to survive. Okay. Similar thing over here also. We should know what is good or what is bad to survive. Some things might be contaminated by dangerous microorganisms, so it may have some toxins or anything, or some microbial contamination itself. Say bread, if you keep it for more than a week outside, there will be a fungal growth in it, and when you eat that, certainly it will cause some infection. Okay. You may not like the taste of the bread which is kept for longer time. But again, as I told, some things are cultural also in different countries. But nevertheless, what it, the summarily what it is telling is, it is helpful for the individual to survive. So it is giving a survival benefit for the individual. So it's very, very important. Okay. So let's see this gustation. Then how this will happen? Okay, now taste will happen. Now let's see some anatomy. How it is there. So just like other topics of this course, how we saw. First, we'll see the biology, and then we'll look at the applications, engineering applications by bioinspiration, as well as if over here some intervention is required by the engineers, that also we'll discuss. So here this will also distinguish different tastes. Okay, sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami. So for example, if you take a contaminated food, okay, which is having toxin, mostly it will be very sour, little light sour like vinegar, lemons, limes, and yogurt and all. We like it is very mild, and by our day-to-day habit, we have made it a point that this particular threshold of sourness is okay for this thing. But in food, say for example, you are eating some uh, sugary thing, okay, some sweet, okay. In that sweet, there is some sourness. You will not like that. Immediately, your brain will say, "Don't eat this," because uh, now we know it is because of the contamination by organism which will release some acids in it by using the sweet, okay, the sugar in them. And so you don't take the sugar and sourness. For example, even the wine, when there is contamination, the organisms produce acetic acid, and thus it will become sour. So some tinge of sour is enough, but when the threshold level is higher, your body will very easily be able to sense. Okay, same. These are the five different tastes. In taste, lot many androids are here. So you all like the kharam, or the which you call spicy. So spicy is not a taste actually. It is pain, pain which is induced. So that kharam is not a taste. Okay, these are five different tastes. How do we know? For example, kharam is not taste, and these five different sweet, sour, salty, bitter, umami are taste. How we know is but scientifically. So, for example, let's take a taste will be seen, sensed in the tongue. Tongue, when you see, it's having a different taste buds. Okay, the taste buds are of different shapes. One we call, they form different papillae. filiform papillae, fungiform papillae, the different shapes, foliate papillae, and here velvet papillae, like this. There are different kinds of papillae, and that papillae will be placed at different places in the tongue. Okay, so this papillae is the taste bud, and in this taste bud there are cells which are there. So each taste bud when you take, there are different kinds of taste cells in them. Cell we know one nucleus and cytoplasm, and that makes the cell. And intracellular organelles and all will be present. So what does this taste cell do is there are different cells which will trigger on different tastes. For karam, you don't have a taste cell, but you have taste cell for these five different tastes. Okay, like sweet, salty, sour, bitter, umami. Sweet, for example, when glucose is more glucose or polysaccharides or other monosaccharides are more, sour when acidic it becomes, and salty when NaCl and so on and so forth. Umami will be more glutamate and some amino acids will be present. And bitter when some alkaloids and caffeine and all they are present. Okay. So for different molecules, you have a different taste cells in one taste bud. For example, if you take one taste bud, it will have a distribution of taste cells. What essentially is happening is, say these are the molecules, okay? The molecules like which may confer the taste. Taste is a perception, okay? Taste is not something absolutely present. It's a perception made by your brain, which we call, say, something when you eat barfi or peda or some sugar or these things, your perception, we give the name as sweet. They are all sweet. And there are different taste cells which gets triggered when there is the molecules, the sugary molecules are present in those peda or barfi or sugar and all. The molecules which are present will trigger these sets of cells. Over here, the dark pink, they get triggered, and when they get triggered, what will happen is slowly they will go to cranial nerves will be triggered, and this triggeration will also trigger the action potential. What is the action potential? I'll tell you as I told in further classes. Briefly, I had discussed them in muscles also and in previous class. So again, briefly to remind you all, action potential is when there is a cell and its membrane, the membrane outside will be a little more negative and the inside will be positively charged. And this causes polarized state. So they are polarized. Now, when action potential is triggered, they undergo depolarization. Okay, this depolarization will occur, and thus electrical voltage fluctuations will go to the brain to that particular area, and that will be triggered, and it will say that okay, this cell is triggered means sweet is triggered. Sweet cell is triggered. So, sour cell or a salty cell, accordingly, the cell is triggered. Okay, when this binds, here also it is a very complicated cascade which will happen of the chemical cascade will happen before it goes over here. Like we say, a G protein coupled receptor. So they will be having a receptor over here, when this molecule binds to the receptor, the GPCR or the G protein coupled receptor, they will trigger a cascade of signaling events, and that will actually trigger the action potential, and this will be converted into electrical gradients and potential will transfer to the brain. Okay, this how actually we get these five different. For example, I can genetically engineer, say I will take the sweet cell, and in the sweet cell I'll just tweak by engineering the DNA, DNA or the protein level. I will tweak such that the sour yellow color sour receptors, I will place it over here. This cell will get triggered. So for a salt, your brain will perceive as something which is sweet. I can also interchange. I can make the salty smells taste as sweet, and whereas your brain will say it is salty, though it is sweet. Okay, these things are very important for us. And here it's also important that you go back to the biomolecules which we studied. So there we know that the sweet is something which will trigger, and we people, we eat more sweet. Why? Because it gives more energy for us. Okay, it's very easily digestible, and this it will give rise to more energy also for us. And accordingly, the zone, like when we are tired or anything, we have some glucose or sweets or anything, so that will give rise to more energy. So your body is having a taste bud where this, it will tell yourself that you consume more number of sweet, or some people even salty, because your electrolyte balance also will be kept according to your body. Whatever ionic or the different levels of energy is there, accordingly it will intimate you what has to be had. Okay, and but there are also diseases. For example, maybe in a rare case there could be genetic, very rare, but in mostly age-old people or during infections. A very good example is now the coronavirus infection. Hypoacusia acusia is very common, where the taste will reduce or there will be absence of taste. So, because the taste buds on the surface is having a receptor for the virus called ACE receptor, and the virus can sit on them. So, when it sits on them, the first thing we have seen in the immune response that there is inflammation. So, the taste cells, when they undergo inflammation, they will lose their real activity. So, we lose the taste. Okay, this is uh, this Guasia means distortion of taste. This is distortion. Hyper is more increased taste. Hypo is less, and aguasia, a Guasia means absence of taste. Okay. Next, let us see the olfaction. This also is very important. This also reminds the individual whether he is going in a proper direction, or it will give rise to so many different applications. For example, over here, the humans will be able to sense the perfumes, sense the beverages, even by sensing, you will come to know the food and fruits, vegetables, or meat, or bad foods, or anything. Again, you will be able to distinguish, as well as you will be alarmed For example, if there is something dead body or something, it will be stinking. Okay, so you will not go there. So lot many things it will be there. But other animals, they are more developed in the sense of smell. We don't have very well developed olfactory, but there are the insects are highly developed in the olfactory. For example, say a mosquito or anything, they can sense the spell in on your skin, and thus they can come to your skin. Obviously, they will also see thermal, but a sense of smell is very well developed. Only like when insects go on the flowers for the sun, they sense whether this particular flower is having very good juice in them, so they get more energy. Okay, even a honeybees or anything. So the sense of olfactory sense is very well developed in other animals. For example, even in dogs, we have seen like they have a very good sense of smell. But then dogs, other animals like elephants or mouse or insects, they have a very well developed sense of smell. Humans have a very good evolved sense of eyes, sense of seeing the photon, but other animals have developed very good sense of olfactory sense. Okay, here you can see the mouse, they can also sense. Even the dogs, for example, they urinate to make a territory of them. Even the mouse and other hierarchy in them, and humans also, and many of the insects and animals for mating also they sense smell. Though now we may not know, we think only eye, but sense of smell is something when you properly observe, you'll come to know that also is been evolved in us. Okay, even the prey or even the predator, when it is there, the mouse has been well developed comparative. And how this will happen again? It is the same action potential will be triggered to the brain, but how? It is a plethora of sensors which will be there. Okay, which will be there. This is called as the olfactory bulb. Okay, from nose, when it comes here, there are sensors. This is called mucosal layer. Over here in the mucosal layer, there will be a mucus which will be there, and mucus will be present, and there will be hair-like structures, cilia, which we call, and upon them there are sensors for every molecule specifically. Okay, and not only for specific molecule, it will also make combinations. So it's a very highly evolved kind of system where the permutation combinations are very huge. Okay, only thing is when you all observe any smell and train your brain, you will come to know the smell varies of different things. Okay, it's a very highly developed thing. And once the sensory the cells will sense the molecule, particular molecule, it will again trigger the action potential in the neuron, which will go to the specific olfactory region. From the olfactory bulb, it will be consolidated and it will go to the brain. Here, for example, you also have inhibitors. For example, if you're hungry, your sense of smell will be very high. But once your tummy is full, again it may inhibit that particular smell and tell you that okay, now you don't need to sense more, and otherwise you will consume more. Okay, so everything is done by the system. And as I told, receptors, they receive the different molecules specifically. which are called odorants, and in the mucous layer, and this will trigger the action potential in the olfactory bulb, and it will go to a region in the brain. This when you see for different animals, as I told, for example, the elephants is having a very high number of genes, 1948 genes. But they're also evolutionarily, historically, when you see, they're also having some genes which doesn't work now, called a pseudo gene, but previously it may have existed, and thus 4267 number of genes. Nevertheless, the red colors, when you compare between different animals and human, other animals have a very highly specialized kind of sense of olfactory sense. Still more over here in this graph, the insects are not given. Insects are also very highly developed. Okay. So I'll stop here before going to auditory. Uh, will be happy to answer any of your questions.